On the 20th of July 1969, Neil Armstrong became the first person to step on the moon. And after that, on December 11th, 1972, Cernan and Harrison landed the Apollo 17 on the surface of the moon and became the last two people to set foot on the moon. So it's been around 52 years since we have stepped on the moon, and we seem like we don't like to explore space anymore. But it's about to change because we are going to start Artemis missions. So these missions are conducted by NASA and with the help of SpaceX. When Donald Trump was the president of America, he promised the world that humans would actually land again on moon by the year 2024. But the Artemis missions are actually having better plans. They are having a plan to set up a permanent moon base on the surface of moon. Now you might be asking, why moon? Like, why don't we just solve our own problems on Earth rather than exploring space and setting up a moon base? Here's the reason why we need to explore moon. And number one is the recent missions to the moon have actually discovered that there's the presence of water. In the next 700 years, the population is going to increase so much that a person would barely have a square foot of land to himself. So, to prevent overpopulation on Earth, we must actually explore the moon. And moon is the right choice. Mars is good, but first moon, then Mars. That's what Elon Musk said. He told that we need to explore moon because moon is way closer than Mars. So after setting up a moon base, then they'll obviously go to Mars. Now you might be asking, where are you going to set up the permanent moon base? It's obviously going to be the South Pole, because the South Pole is the place where there is the presence of water. Poles were not actually properly explored by the Apollo missions, so the Artemis missions. It's ideal for the Artemis missions to actually explore the poles of the moon, because we haven't really explored the poles, because NASA is not going to do it all by itself. It's going to take the help of SpaceX and Elon Musk, and it has actually funded SpaceX $3.6 billion to help in its Artemis missions to the moon. So, have you heard about the show called DearMoon mission? So, here's the thing: the cast of the show DearMoon will actually be going to the moon and joining the Artemis crew. So here's the process. How is Elon and NASA going to set up a permanent moon base? They call it Moonbase Alpha on the south pole of moon. Step one is the launch process. So humans are actually going to travel to the moon by an SLS rocket by NASA, and the cargo is going to be shipped to the moon by a starship. They're going to shift 100 tons of cargo to the moon. And the SLS launch is quite simple, and the SLS launch is quite simple and not that complicated. You just sit on the SLS rocket, and the humans are going to the moon. But the problem comes when shipping 100 tons of cargo to the moon, because we have never shipped that much amount of cargo to the moon, because we need a lot of fuel. So we need to invest a lot of money. That's why NASA has given SpaceX $3.6 billion. SpaceX actually masters the process of reusability. It believes in reusability. Elon Musk once said that launching rockets to space should be like flying on an aeroplane. You don't, because once you use an aeroplane, you're obviously going to use it again. So you're not actually going to build another aeroplane to come back to your destination. So he said it like that because obviously it's so much more efficient than building it again. So every single part, like 90% of the rocket, is going to be reusable. So let's talk about the refilling process. So once the starship has been launched, the fuel tank would be separated from the actual part of the starship which carries the cargo, and it would descend down to the earth. Now is the problem: you need a lot of fuel to actually launch 100 ton of cargo from the surface of earth to the orbit, because it's a heavy ship. Okay, so we're going to burn out tons of fuel and propellant, so we are not going to have enough to travel. The fuel is only enough to take the cargo from the surface of earth to the orbit and outer space, but it's not actually enough to take the cargo to the moon. So we are actually going to send refilling tanks. So we're going to send another rocket which actually refills it, and we're not going to send one refilling tank. We're going to send around 3 to 4 refilling tanks, because you need lots of fuel to take 100 tons to the moon. So fuel requirements for the Artemis missions is comparatively higher than the Apollo missions, because the Apollo missions never actually carried 100 tons of cargo to the moon. They just carried a small rover which weighed around 200 kilograms, and just like 2 or 3 humans with them. That's it. Didn't carry a lot of stuff to the moon, because it really didn't have plans to set up a moon base. With the Apollo missions, they have a wider scope for exploration, and they wanted to see how the human body actually works in space, and they wanted to set up a permanent moon base. And also, another fun fact is that the spacecraft, unlike the Apollo missions, don't come back to Earth. They actually stay on the surface of moon, and they actually use up everything which is present inside the spacecraft to build a moon base. So it's going to be very beneficial compared to actually taking the spacecraft back to Earth. They're actually going to use the parts inside the spacecraft to build a moon base. And I'm really excited, and I hope you guys are also excited about the new moon missions, the Artemis missions, and we are going to see a lot of crazy things being discovered on the moon, and we are going to finally set up a moon base, a permanent moon base. Just imagine how would it be. We are going to see the moon light up, like literally light up, not because of the sun rays reflecting on it, but we are actually going to soon build cities. And also um, the test launches are going to soon begin. This year we're going to hopefully launch first test launch, and hopefully we don't delay these missions. Bye, thanks for watching. Subscribe.